Before I talk to you about habits, discipline, or routines, I want to ask you a simple question. Why do you want 2026 to be different? Not just better, not just more successful, but truly different. Because here's what most people do. They wait. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect Monday. They wait for the new year to magically turn them into a new person. But real change doesn't happen in January. And it doesn't happen in one dramatic decision. Real change happens quietly, daily, almost invisibly. It happens in the 1% choices you make when nobody is watching. The extra page you read. The 5 minutes you don't scroll. The one healthy decision instead of the easy one. The moment you choose growth over comfort. You see, you don't need a new life in 2026. You need a new standard for how you treat your time, your mind, your energy, and your future. Because when you improve just 1% every day, you don't just become better, you become unstoppable. And today, I'm going to show you why small changes are the most powerful force you'll ever use, and how 2026 can be the year you finally become who you were meant to be. Most people wake up every morning already exhausted, not because they did too much, but because they don't know why they are doing what they are doing. They move through their days on autopilot. They chase deadlines, notifications, expectations, and routines that were handed to them by someone else. They are busy, but they are not fulfilled. They are moving, but they are not progressing. And over time, this creates a quiet frustration, a feeling that life is happening to them instead of being created by them, when you don't have a clear why. Every goal feels heavy. Every routine feels forced. Every failure feels personal. You try to wake up earlier, but you quit. You try to exercise, but you stop. You try to read more, focus more, improve more, and slowly, silently, you drift back to who you were before. Not because you are lazy, but because you were trying to change your behavior without changing your belief. Well, your why is not a motivational quote. It is not a trend. It is not what looks impressive on social media. Your why is the emotional reason you are willing to struggle. It is the reason you get back up when no one is clapping. It is the reason you keep your promise to yourself when nobody is checking. Without it, discipline feels like punishment. With it, discipline feels like alignment. When someone knows their why, they stop asking, how long will this take? And start asking, who am I becoming? They stop counting days and start building identity. They stop waiting for confidence and start creating it. Because confidence is not something you find. It is something you earn through consistent self-respect. Every version of you that you admire was built on a reason that went deeper than comfort. You were not meant to just survive your days. You were meant to stand for something in your own life, to protect your time, to guard your focus, to choose growth even when it costs you convenience. Your why gives meaning to sacrifice. It gives direction to effort. It gives strength to small choices. When you skip the workout, but remember your why, you don't feel guilt, you feel responsibility. When you feel tired, but remember your why, you don't quit. You adjust. When distractions show up, your why becomes your filter. You cannot build a better life on random motivation. Motivation disappears when emotions change, but purpose remains when feelings fade. Purpose is what allows you to keep going when the results are slow and invisible. It anchors you during the days when your growth does not feel exciting, but is still happening. Your why is also what protects you from comparison. When you know what you stand for, you stop chasing what everyone else is chasing. You stop measuring your life with someone else's ruler. You stop rushing because someone else is ahead. You start building patiently, deliberately, intentionally. A 1% improvement strategy only works when it is guided by meaning. Otherwise, you will quit the moment progress feels boring. You will abandon the process when it stops feeling new. You will fall back into old patterns when the pressure is gone. But when your why is clear, even boring days become powerful because they are moving you closer to a version of yourself you respect. Your why is personal. It may come from pain. It may come from responsibility. It may come from a dream that you are afraid to say out loud. It may come from the desire to become a better example, a stronger leader, a healthier person, a calmer mind, a more disciplined soul. Whatever it is, it must be strong enough to outlive your moods. When you define your why, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking, should I do this today? And start asking, who do I want to be today? That shift changes everything. Because actions become expressions of identity, not tasks on a checklist. You begin to notice how your daily habits are votes for the person you are becoming. Every small choice either reinforces your why or pulls you away from it. And slowly, quietly, your life begins to align with your intention. People who live without a why react to life. People who live with a why design their lives. They decide what matters. They decide what they will protect. They decide what they will say no to so they can say yes to what truly moves them forward. When your why is clear, you no longer need to be pushed. You no longer need external pressure to improve. You become internally driven. Growth becomes natural. Discipline becomes self-respect. And your future stops being an accident and starts becoming a result of deliberate daily decisions. Your why is the beginning of every transformation. It is the foundation of every habit. It is the invisible force behind every visible success. It is the reason 1% improvements compound into extraordinary change. It is the reason you stay committed when nobody is watching. It is the quiet promise you make to your future self that you refuse to break. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are shaping your future, not with the big decisions that happen once in a while, but with the small choices that happen quietly, repeatedly, and almost invisibly. Life does not suddenly change in one dramatic moment. It slowly transforms through patterns, through routines, through the simple things you do when nobody is watching. You do not become confident in a single speech. You become confident through hundreds of small moments when you chose to speak instead of staying silent. You do not become disciplined because you made one powerful decision. You become disciplined because you kept showing up for small commitments even when it felt inconvenient. Your destiny is not written by what you promise yourself once, it is written by what you practice daily. Most people underestimate the power of ordinary moments. They believe that big success requires big action. They wait for perfect conditions. They wait for more time, more energy, more motivation. But in the waiting, they are still making choices. They are choosing comfort. They are choosing distraction. They are choosing the familiar. And these choices, repeated daily, slowly build the life they did not consciously choose. Every scroll, every delay, every excuse feels small in the moment. But repeated over months and years, they create patterns that become habits. Habits become character. And character becomes destiny. You don't wake up one day with an unfulfilled life. You arrive there through thousands of tiny decisions that slowly moved you away from your potential. In the same way, you don't accidentally build a powerful life. You design it through intentional daily choices. You choose to wake up with purpose. You choose to move your body. You choose to feed your mind with growth instead of noise. You choose to protect your energy. These decisions may look insignificant, but they are shaping who you are becoming. Your future self is not created by what you plan. It is created by what you practice. You can write goals in your notebook, but your habits are the real agreement you make with your destiny. Every time you choose effort over excuses, you are casting a vote for a stronger version of yourself. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you are casting a vote for a more disciplined mind. You are always becoming something. You are never standing still. You are either becoming more intentional or more reactive, more aware or more distracted, more disciplined or more comfortable. The direction of your life is decided by which side you feed daily. Most people want change without changing what they repeatedly do. They want a new future without building new habits. They want results without becoming the person who naturally produces those results. But transformation does not begin with what you get. It begins with who you become. Every habit you repeat is shaping your identity. If you constantly delay important tasks, you are training yourself to avoid responsibility. If you consistently show up for your commitments, you are training yourself to be reliable. Your identity is not what you say you are. It is what your daily actions prove. Your environment also plays a powerful role in shaping your choices. The people you listen to, the content you consume, the spaces you spend your time in, all of these influence what feels normal to you. What feels normal slowly becomes what you accept, and what you accept becomes what you tolerate in your life. This is why small improvements are so powerful. A 1% change in your daily routine may feel insignificant today, but over time it creates a completely different version of you. You do not need to overhaul your entire life at once. You only need to shift what you repeatedly do. One better decision today leads to a slightly better mindset tomorrow. A slightly better mindset tomorrow leads to better habits. Better habits lead to better results. And better results reinforce your belief in who you are becoming. Your daily choices are building your confidence, your discipline, your health, your finances, your relationships, and your mindset. They are shaping your reputation with yourself. They are creating the standards you live by. And over time, these standards define the quality of your life. When you start choosing intentionally, your life stops feeling random. You begin to feel in control. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to see that you are not stuck. You are simply repeating patterns that can be redesigned. The most powerful moment of change is not when you feel inspired. It is when you make a small better choice, even when you do not feel like it. Because that moment is training your future self. Your destiny is not something that happens to you. It is something you are actively building with every small decision you make. It is being shaped in your mornings, in your evenings, in your habits, in your focus, in your discipline, in your consistency. Every small choice is a brick. And you are building your future, one brick at a time. Most people believe change has to be dramatic to be meaningful. They think transformation must be loud, visible, and immediate. They look for breakthroughs, overnight success stories, and massive shifts that promise instant results. But real change does not announce itself. It grows quietly. It builds slowly. It happens in small, consistent actions that are almost too ordinary to be noticed. Massive change is rarely created by massive effort. It is created by small improvements that are repeated long enough to compound. One better choice today may feel insignificant, but repeated daily, it reshapes your habits, your identity, and eventually your entire life. What looks like a tiny step today becomes the foundation of a completely different future. Small improvements remove the pressure of perfection. They make growth approachable. They allow you to move forward even on your hardest days. When your goal is to be perfect, you stop when you fail. But when your goal is to be slightly better, you continue even when progress feels slow. Progress becomes sustainable instead of exhausting. Every great result is the accumulation of small disciplines. Strong health is built through daily movement and mindful eating. Mental clarity is built through small moments of focus and reflection. Confidence is built through repeated acts of courage that feel uncomfortable but manageable. These are not grand actions. They are simple actions done consistently. Most people quit not because their goals are impossible, but because they try to change everything at once. They demand too much from themselves too quickly. They burn out, they feel overwhelmed, and then they return to old habits that feel safe and familiar. Small improvements prevent burnout. They allow you to grow without breaking your momentum. Your brain responds better to small wins than big pressure. Each small improvement builds trust between you and yourself. It tells your mind that you are capable, reliable, and consistent. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence becomes motivation. Motivation becomes momentum. Small improvements also reduce resistance. When a task feels too big, your mind looks for reasons to avoid it. When a task feels manageable, your mind is willing to engage. This is why 1% improvements are powerful. They lower the emotional cost of starting. What you do repeatedly matters more than what you do occasionally. A single intense effort cannot compete with steady, consistent action. One perfect week cannot replace months of small daily progress. Your habits shape your results far more than your intentions. Small improvements also shape your identity. Each time you choose growth, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who improves. That identity slowly becomes natural. You no longer need to force discipline. You begin to act in alignment with who you believe you are. The compound effect works quietly. At first, progress feels invisible. You may not notice change. Others may not notice change. But beneath the surface, new habits are forming. New standards are being set. New neural pathways are being built. Over time, the results begin to accelerate. Most people give up too early because they cannot see immediate results. They mistake slow progress for no progress. They abandon habits just before the compound effect begins to show. But consistency over time creates exponential growth. A 1% improvement today improves your tomorrow. A better tomorrow improves your next week. A better week improves your next month. And a better month slowly reshapes your year. You do not leap into a new life. You build into it. Small improvements also create stability. They anchor your growth to routine rather than emotion. You no longer depend on motivation. You depend on structure. And structure protects your progress during hard days. The quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your daily systems. Systems built on small improvements are resilient. They are easier to maintain. They are less likely to collapse under stress. You do not need to become someone else overnight. You need to become slightly better than you were yesterday, and then repeat that process again and again. Your future is not created by what you do once. It is created by what you repeat. Small improvements are the language of long-term success. They are the invisible engine behind visible transformation. Every small habit is a seed. Every repeated choice is water. Over time, what once felt insignificant grows into something powerful, stable, and lasting. The most extraordinary lives are built through ordinary actions done consistently. Small improvements create massive change. Most people wait for motivation before they take action. They tell themselves they will start when they feel inspired, energized, or confident. They believe that motivation is the engine of progress. But motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. It depends on mood, weather, comfort, and circumstances. If your growth depends on motivation, your progress will always be unpredictable. Consistency does not care how you feel. It is not emotional. It is not dramatic. It is calm, steady, and reliable. Consistency is what carries you forward on the days when motivation disappears. It is what keeps your habits alive when your excitement fades. It is the difference between people who make temporary changes and people who create permanent transformation. Motivation starts things. Consistency finishes them. Anyone can feel motivated after watching a video, hearing a speech, or imagining a better future. But motivation alone cannot build a better life. It cannot protect your habits during stressful weeks. It cannot maintain discipline during boring seasons. It cannot carry you through slow progress. Only consistency can do that. Your habits do not need your excitement. They need your commitment. They need repetition. They need structure. When you rely on consistency, you stop negotiating with your emotions. You stop asking whether you feel like doing the work. You simply do what needs to be done because it is part of who you are. Consistency turns actions into identity. When you repeatedly show up, even imperfectly, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to trust yourself. You build self-respect. And that self-respect becomes a powerful internal drive. You no longer depend on external inspiration to keep going. Your identity becomes your motivation. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack structure. They try to change their lives through emotional bursts of effort. They go all in for a few days, then disappear for weeks. They start again, then stop again. This pattern creates frustration, self-doubt, and eventually discouragement. Consistency creates momentum. Small daily actions build a rhythm. Rhythm builds stability. Stability builds confidence. And confidence reinforces your commitment. Over time, what once required effort begins to feel natural. Consistency also makes growth sustainable. You do not need extreme routines. You need repeatable ones. Habits that are simple enough to maintain even on your worst days are far more powerful than perfect routines you cannot sustain. Progress that is slow but steady always wins against progress that is fast but inconsistent. A person who improves a little every day will always outperform a person who improves only when they feel inspired. Consistency protects your future self. It ensures that even when life becomes busy, stressful, or unpredictable, your growth does not completely stop. It allows you to keep moving forward even in imperfect conditions. When you commit to consistency, you remove the pressure to be perfect. You give yourself permission to show up imperfectly, but reliably. And that reliability compounds into real change. Your brain learns through repetition. Each consistent action strengthens your habits. Each repeated choice rewires your identity. Over time, your new behaviors become automatic. You no longer struggle as much to do what is good for you. It becomes your default. Consistency also builds resilience. It trains you to keep going when results are slow. It teaches patience. It teaches persistence. It creates emotional stability. You do not need a new surge of motivation every week. You need a system that carries you forward regardless of your mood. You need routines that protect your growth when life gets loud. Consistency is not exciting. It is powerful. It is not dramatic. It is dependable. It is what quietly builds discipline, confidence, health, and success. The people who change their lives permanently are not the most motivated. They are the most consistent. Your future is shaped by what you repeatedly do, not by what you occasionally feel. Every time you choose to show up, even when it is inconvenient, you are training your future self to be stronger, more disciplined, and more reliable. Consistency is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Most people believe that success is about willpower. They think strong people simply try harder, resist temptation better, and stay disciplined through sheer mental strength. But willpower is limited. It gets tired. It weakens under stress. It disappears when you are overwhelmed, emotional, or exhausted. Relying only on willpower means your progress will always be fragile. Your environment is stronger than your intentions. It shapes your behavior quietly and constantly. It influences what you notice, what feels easy, and what feels difficult. If your environment makes unhealthy choices convenient and positive choices inconvenient, your habits will struggle no matter how motivated you are. Every room you spend time in is training you. The people you talk to, the content you consume, the objects you see, and the systems you use are constantly shaping your standards. What you surround yourself with becomes your normal. And your normal becomes your behavior. If distractions are always within reach, your focus will be weak. If unhealthy food is easily available, your discipline around eating will be tested daily. If your phone is always in your hand, your attention will constantly be pulled away. This is not a lack of character, it is a design problem. When you design your environment intentionally, you make good habits easier and bad habits harder. You reduce friction for positive behaviors and increase friction for negative ones. You no longer have to fight yourself all day. Your surroundings begin to support your goals. Small changes in your environment can create powerful results. Placing a book on your desk makes reading more likely. Keeping water visible makes hydration easier. Removing apps from your phone reduces mindless scrolling. Preparing your clothes the night before increases the chance you will move your body in the morning. Your environment also includes your digital space. Your notifications, your feeds, your playlists, and your messages are shaping your focus and mood. What you allow into your digital world is training your thoughts, your standards, and your expectations. The people you spend time with also shape your growth. Conversations influence your mindset. Energy is contagious. When you are surrounded by people who value growth, effort, and discipline, your own standards naturally rise. When you are surrounded by comfort, focused thinking, your standards slowly fall. Designing your environment is not about controlling your life. It is about protecting your future. It is about removing unnecessary friction so your best habits can survive busy days, emotional days, and stressful seasons. Your environment should remind you of who you want to become. It should gently guide your choices instead of constantly testing your willpower. It should make discipline feel natural instead of forced. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are shaped by your environment. When your environment supports growth, progress feels lighter. You waste less energy fighting distractions. You make better choices more automatically. Your daily routine begins to align with your intention. Designing your environment also creates accountability. Visual cues remind you of your commitments. Clear spaces reduce mental clutter. Organized systems reduce decision fatigue. Your mind becomes calmer and more focused. Your environment does not need to be perfect. It needs to be intentional. Each small adjustment strengthens your ability to stay consistent. Each positive cue reinforces your identity. Over time, your environment begins to shape your habits without constant effort. You begin to feel more in control. You begin to trust yourself more.